Hey y'all, hey, Mo here, and today I'm bringing you guys a video on how I make my strawberry crunch. And I know people have been making this forever now, but I've gotten requests for it. So for my pretty sweet gang, we're gonna drop it right now like it's hot. So first of all, you're gonna need 2 3-ounce packages of Jello mix, one the gelatin and one the pudding. Here, as you saw, I'm using strawberry, and for the pudding mix I'm using cheesecake flavor. You can definitely use vanilla. I just tend to go to cheesecake whenever I'm out of vanilla. So that's what I'm doing here. So you want to pour each one of those in a box. And for each mixture, you're going to need 1 cup of all-purpose flour. And for me, I add about 2 tablespoons of granulated sugar to mine just for a little extra sweetness. Because if you do try your crunch after you bake it, it has the flavor, but to me, my opinion, it doesn't really have that sweetness. So I like to add a little bit of sugar to my mix. I usually only add it mainly to the pudding side, but I did add some today in the gelatin side because the gelatin already has sugar in it, so it is sweet, but the pudding side isn't as sweet in my opinion. So I just take those and I combine them together. I go ahead and get my flour and my sugar and my Jello mixes combined together, just simply like I'm doing now. And then for each mixture, you want to have 4 tablespoons of butter, and you'll see me add that in just a second. Make sure your butter is room temperature, as soft as you can get it. I like to just go straight in with my hands on this, so I do have on gloves, as you should wear anyway when you are making anything that's consumable for someone. So there we go, my stick of butter, and I've separated that into halves. And I'm gonna go ahead, because I want to spruce up that flavor, and add maybe about half a cap to a cap of strawberry extract to my strawberry mixture. You can also do that with the pudding side if you want to, but I just wanted to add that extra little bit of flavor to the strawberry. So I just like to take my hands and just go right in and get that all crumbled together. You want to mix it thoroughly and get it consistent. Once you have like a sand texture, then you have mixed it well enough. You don't want to have big chunks of crumbs. You want to crumble it up as best you can. So, just take your time and be consistent with this part. I kind of like getting messy with my hands with different batters and doughs and stuff like that. So this is the funnest part for me. You're going to do that with both sides. I just like to start with the pudding side first, so that, because if you start with the Jello, especially because we've added in that wet liquid from the extract, I don't want to have to change my glove, which would be wasting a glove in my head. Gloves are not cheap, so I don't want to add the strawberry into my cheesecake mixture, even though at the end we are going to mix it, but that's just my philosophy in my head. You can do it any way you like. Like I said in the beginning, I'm showing you the way I make my crunch. So that's more like a sand-like texture. And if you grab some and put it in your hand and you squeeze your hand together and it sticks together, then you know you have enough butter. If it's still really dry like a powder, you want to add a little more butter, and you just want to add like maybe about another tablespoon at a time. You don't want to add too much, because again, you guys, you cannot take it away if you add too much once you've mixed it in. So you want to add little bits at a time, and I'm just going right in doing the same technique with the strawberry side. So you still want it to look crumbly, but like I said, if you squeeze it and it kind of sticks, then it's good. You don't want it to be wet at all, because it's just weird when it bakes and it's just really hard. Here, I'm adding a few drops of red food coloring, just because I want to add a little more pizzazz to my strawberry side. I want it to be a little more bright. It's kind of dull once you add in that white all-purpose flour. It tones the color down a little bit. Now, this is totally optional. You do not have to do it. I don't always do it. Sometimes it just depends on my mood for the day. And today I felt like making this a little brighter. And it doesn't take much. I don't need much. And even when you mix it in a bowl, you may see a little difference. But believe me, when you bake it, the color definitely comes out. So we're just gonna get that all mixed in together. Just about done here. I'm gonna add a little bit more. It seems like I'm adding a lot because for whatever reason, maybe my bottle is clogged up, but it's kind of hard to get the color out. So now, like, my mixture is mixed well enough, but I'm just mixing more to get that color incorporated throughout. And when you do that, you do want to take a little more time to mix so that you don't have like spots of darker in this area and then a lighter color in this area. So you just want to make sure that you have that mixed in thoroughly. Looks pretty good to me, and I'm not sure if it's picking up on the camera. I can definitely tell, but the color has darkened. It's more of a brighter pink, not really red, but it's like a really bright pink. Or maybe a reddish pink, whatever. But it has a little more life. Looks good to me. Alrighty, so we're gonna get ready for the next step. So now you just want to get you a cookie sheet, and if you have parchment paper, or here I have a silicone mat, you just want to dump out both sides of your mixes on that mat, and you want to keep them separate. We want to bake them side by side, and you don't want to have it spread out too much because you don't want it to burn in any areas, but you don't want to mix your colors together just yet, because what'll happen is when it's still in the powder form, a lot of the white side of your mixture will just turn pink from the pink side, obviously. So yes, we want to bake it in the same pan to eliminate unnecessary dishes, but we'll keep it separate, and once we pull it out of the oven, then we'll mix, and you'll see that here in a couple minutes. Now what I'm doing right now is just any large chunks, I'm just kind of breaking them down with the fork. You can use your hand. A lot of time I'll use a cake scraper, like a icing smoother or whatever, to kind of chop it and break it down. I'll show you that later after we take it out of the oven, but the way it looks on the cookie sheet before you bake it is the way it's going to come out of the oven. So if you have large chunks, you need to break those down now. It's okay if you do have some small ones, as you do see here, but anything that's really big, you will see me breaking it down. And here we are out of the oven. I put that in the oven. My oven preheated to 300 degrees, and you want to bake it for 10 minutes. But after the first 5 minutes, you want to kind of go in the oven with the fork and just kind of move it around, still keeping your two flavors separate, just so nothing's sitting in one spot and burns or anything. And then you put it back in the oven for the last 5 minutes. You take it right out. I don't let it cool or anything. I go right from the oven to this process, which I'm just breaking it down and mixing my mixture in. As you can see, it has chunks that it didn't have before I put it in the oven. So imagine if I didn't break it down before. And what that is from the butter and the flour and everything baking together, and it just sitting in one spot, and it just kind of bakes, and it does that. So I don't know the technical term for it, but then we're just going to take this time and break it down. Or you can skip this and you can just go ahead and mix your flavors together and get you a food processor or blender or whatever and blend it down. Sometimes I do that. It depends on what I'm making the crunch for. I am going to show that here because I'm going to be using this for a crust, for a cheesecake crust, and I'll end up having pictures of that later on my social media. But I do want to break it down more into a finer crumb. I don't really want the big chunks. So here I have my Ninja. People always ask me where I get the pink one from. I don't think they have it anymore. I think it was a limited time. But QVC is like my best friend, and it can be yours too. They have lots of different electronics that I probably wouldn't pay for. Like, this really wasn't that expensive, but because it was offered there, why not take the 3 to 5 easy pay whenever they have it. So if you guys don't know about that and you're looking for certain, even KitchenAids, if you want a KitchenAid and you can't afford to just buy out a KitchenAid, go to QVC and get one on 5 easy pay. It may be 3, it may be 5, it depends on what deal they're doing. But anyway, all I did is went and dumped that in the container of the Ninja, and we're just gonna, there we go, chop it up. I'm just gonna mash the button a few times, hold it down a little bit. I don't want to get it too fine because I don't want it to end up just crumbling together. I still want to have the distinction between the strawberry and the cheesecake flavor. Looks good. I've got a few chunks in here at the bottom that I'm gonna just go ahead and blend a couple more times. Go. And we're all done. And you guys, that is how I make my strawberry crunch. You can use this recipe for any flavor. You can make chocolate eclair using vanilla and fudge pudding. You can use both puddings. It doesn't have to be a Jello and a pudding. Sometimes I use both puddings. You can do key lime by using a vanilla or a cheesecake pudding and using the lime Jello mix. So the options can be endless. Use your imagination, have fun. You can do add-ins such as funfetti sprinkles if you want to do a birthday cake flavor, anything like that. And if you guys decide to use this recipe, just go ahead and let me know below in the comments. I love to see you guys' work, and I really thank you for watching my videos and for all of your support, to everyone that's been supporting me, and I will see you guys in the next one.